I assure you he did not ask me to present this particular portion because I have such experience that I can speak from it, from personal experience. I want to start off with a story which may or may not be true. It's an absurd story, truly hard to believe. Imagine this. There is a couple in the East Metro who every night at about 10 p.m., they drive their teenage son to an X-rated pornographic movie theater. They leave him there overnight, unsupervised, to watch whatever pornographic movies he would like to watch. Then they return the next morning at 5 a.m. to pick him up, and they drive him home to get ready for the coming day. What do you think of those parents? What would you think of parents who drop their teenage son off at a pornographic movie theater every night and then pick him up in the morning? If you have a teenager and have given your teenager a smartphone without security software like Covenant Eyes, you are the man. You are the woman. It's not the same when I don't shout it and pound the podium, but I think I've given those up for Lent. Shocking, grotesque, pornographic content is available to children on their smartphones 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So parents, if you've given your child a smartphone without taking any precautions, you have given them a portable X-rated movie theater. So you probably shouldn't get upset with them. You should probably be upset with yourself and do something about it. Pornography is destroying lives, including lives of our children and our grandchildren. Much of what I'm sharing with you this evening is taken from the book The Porn Myth by Matt Fradd, published in 2017. The following is a message Fradd received from a teenager that is printed in his book. And I quote, "I'm addicted to porn." This is a teenager. "I'm addicted to porn. I watch it every single day. I feel like I have no control over what I do. No matter how disciplined or in control I think I am, I always have porn on the back of my mind, and I always want more. This is no way to live." End of quote. And if you think that viewing pornography is as far as it goes, you are even more naive than myself or Father Erickson, and that's not good. Studies indicate that about half of boys between ages of 14 and 17 years old masturbate at least twice a week. Decades ago, C.S. Lewis explained that the problem with such behavior is that men come to prefer their sexual fantasies to relationships with women, relationships that require sacrifices. This can have terrible consequences for individuals and relationships. The following rather long quote is from a message I received just during this year of 2021. And I quote, This is the quote. "I, like a lot of men, struggled with giving up pornography and being impure with myself until one day our priest challenged the congregation to go to adoration and that it would change our lives. So I took him up on that challenge and decided to go to adoration. And the favor I asked from God was to heal my sex life with my wife. After a few months of adoration, I realized I had been cheating on my wife in the form of pornography for the first 15 years of our marriage. When I suggested that her and I both go to confession regarding using contraception, she reluctantly agreed. It was her first confession ever, and when she came out of the confessional that day, shortly after I had just been in there, she had tears streaming down her face. I said, "You had a good confession." After that encounter, our marriage on the physical level was healed literally like a light switch. After 15 years of marriage, it was healed like a light switch. I tell that story often to young men. I feel they need to be warned of the traps laid by the devil so that they don't waste all that time figuring it out on their own in their own marriages. I think men and women need to know the power of humility in the confessional. They must know it works. Humble thyself and trust in the Lord and the sacrament of confession he gave us. Sex needs to be viewed with the utmost respect. It brings new souls into eternal existence. It is a profound act with eternal consequences, and the devil knows that. That's why he attacks so many of us right there. We've come up with too many excuses of when sex is okay in our lives, and it's usually, coincidentally enough, the exact sexual sins we ourselves are guilty of. We sometimes think to ourselves, what I do in my bathroom or bedroom all alone is between me, myself, and I. Not so. The Bible tells us this isn't so. Christ tells us not one hair on your head goes uncounted. That means everything we do will be public record at our judgment. Everything will be revealed. Sex is exclusively reserved between a man and woman in loving, committed marriage, open to the possibility of children. Look at what happens when we go outside that exclusive union: porn, masturbation, abortion, cheating, lust, and sometimes even murder. End of quote. There is, of course, a cause and effect relationship between pornography and divorce. Again, from Frad's book, here's another quote. Nearly every year for the last decade, there have been 1 million divorces in America. In 2003, a survey of 350 divorce lawyers revealed that porn use was a factor in more than half of their divorce cases. Exactly how many marriages are ending because of a porn habit is uncertain, but according to Dr. Kevin Skinner, author of Treating Porn Addiction, if even 25% are due to porn, that is 125,000 divorces each and every year that are a direct result of pornography. That's too many broken homes. That's too much hurt and pain. End of quote. However, similarly, another quote, among attorneys at the November 2002 meeting of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, 62% said that the internet had been a significant factor in divorces that they had handled during that year. Of those cases, 56% involved one person having an obsessive interest in internet porn. And that's the end of that quote. And that's nearly 20 years ago, when using the internet meant you were sitting at an enormous, conspicuous terminal with notoriously slow computer attached to it. Imagine how much more when we've got the traveling X-rated movie theater on our phone in our pocket. Pornography is also behind many, many sex crimes. Again, from Frad's book, The Porn Myth, and I quote, "Pornography is a brilliant social marketing campaign for commercial sexual exploitation," says Laura Lederer, former senior advisor on human trafficking for the U.S. State Department. Lederer says that porn is marketing for sex trafficking in two powerful ways. First, it serves as direct online and offline marketing, as traffickers use pornographic images to draw buyers. Second, porn has an influence on the culture at large, whetting men's appetites for sex that few women are willing to give unless they are paid or forced. End of quote. And by this, of course, Lederer is indicating that both the amount and the violent or perverse nature of the sexual activity that men desire after their exposure to pornography, this is not something that healthy women will tolerate unless they're, being abused. In a July of 2017 article entitled "The Public Health Harms of Pornography," Professor John Fobert of the Oklahoma State University explains that studies prove conclusively that pornography causes men to commit sexual violence against women. And while viewing pornography is often considered to be a male problem, females are not immune. Studies in 2013 indicate that 50% of female adolescents have used pornography in the previous 6 months. Other studies indicate that 25% of women ages 18 to 34 use pornography. Even 4% of women ages 50 to 65, and 2% of women admit to using pornography multiple times per week. There are, of course, many, many terrible consequences of pornography that could be discussed, I think, discussed and be disgusted by, and probably had just about enough of them already. Allow me to warn you, do not, in your own attempt to do research, do a search on this topic by way of your internet search engine. That is a recipe for disaster. As I said, Matt Fradd's 2017 book, The Porn Myth, is a good and safe resource, and in there you can find other safe websites to which you can go directly rather than be surprised at what you find. It is possible that after hearing all this bad news, you are wondering what can be done. That would be a good response. Much of this is Father Erickson's responsibility to cover, and he will, of course, be most familiar with spiritual remedies. However, he did want me to be sure to mention that there are mental health treatments that are relevant, especially those used in the treatment of substance abuse, that ought to be considered, as difficulties with pornography have been found to have much in common with drug addiction and similar substance abuse. In a January of 2016 article entitled "Neurobiological Advances from the Brain Disease Model of Addiction," which was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, in this paper, the authors identified the 4 major changes in the brain caused by substance addictions, so 4 major changes in the brain. And they conclude that the scientific studies of brain function support that addictions to substances, including drugs, alcohol, and nicotine, are acquired brain diseases. So the thought is to treat them as acquired brain diseases, these substance addictions. Same authors also suggest that behavioral addictions, including sexual addictions such as pornography, may also be acquired brain diseases. In support of their theory, one website that is safe, called yourbrainonporn.com, identifies 55 articles about neurological studies on pornography users and sex addicts that have been published since 2009, and each of these 55 articles has identified at least one of the 4 typical changes in the brain caused by substance addictions occurring in those who are pornography users and sex addicts. The implication, of course, is that the same treatments used to repair brain damage caused by drugs and other addictive substances are likely to be helpful for repairing the brain damage caused by pornography. Such treatments include, but are of course not limited to, medicine, individual counseling, group therapy, and 12-step programs. So that's the mess I'm leaving with you. I hope that Father Erickson can fix it. Good luck.